Hello, I'm Luke. Welcome to another episode of the Vision to Victory podcast, where we discuss practical ways to turn your dreams into reality. Last week, we were exploring this idea of contributing versus consuming, and we established that part of deriving meaning and purpose and fulfillment from life is directly tied to how much we contribute to the people and communities that we're a part of. And we talked about the difference between consumers and contributors. And consumers ask, what's in it for me? In any given situation, what's in it for me? What can I gain from this situation? And contributors ask, how can I help? What can I bring to the table? And one of the questions I've been pondering, why I wanted to revisit some of this topic, is what keeps people from being contributors? What keeps people from, being a meaningful influence to the world around them? And I think there's a number of things. I thought I'd just list a few that came to my mind. Maybe it's that you're focused on personal goals, which of course is not inherently bad. In fact, I think that we should all have personal goals or things that we're working on to develop ourselves. But if it's simply for the purpose of just our own, again, it's self-focused, it's just another iteration of what can I get out of any given situation, then it becomes unhealthy. But focus on personal goals. Another one would maybe be you don't think you have anything to contribute, and nothing could be further from the truth. Again, we discussed some of this last week, but the fact is that each of us have a unique skill set, gifts, abilities, even disposition or personality that makes us uniquely able to bring something to the table that no one else can in the same way that we can. And I believe that we are connected to a sphere of influence. The people that are in, proximity to us are directly tied to what we bring to the table. In other words, the situation you're in needs what you have. And that means the people around you. And that means, again, the community that you're a part of, you are uniquely you, and there's nobody else who can bring to the table what you can bring to the table. So again, maybe it's being focused on personal goals that keeps you from contributing to others. Maybe it's you don't think you have anything to contribute, or maybe it's just simply dealing with the mess of life, and maybe you feel that you're just trying to keep your own head above water, and how could I possibly, help someone else? My own life feels messy, and I feel, busy and anxious and all of these things. And I get it. I really do. We've talked a lot about coming to terms with the mess of life. And, my response to that would be, oftentimes that is the most impactful thing to other people, is simply the vulnerability to acknowledge that, hey, I'm in a mess too. And that by itself can almost be a helpful thing for someone to hear, just, they're not alone in what they're dealing with. But I also believe that, the things that we go through and the mess that we navigate leads us to a place where we can help others in whatever area, we've had to deal with in our own life. If you struggle with addiction and then you get sober, then you're in obviously a unique position to help somebody else who might need help getting sober. I think this is, somewhat intuitive, but nonetheless, I do think that this is a big reason why people don't contribute to the world around them, is simply because they feel that their life is too messy, and, which leads us to just focusing on ourselves and our own feelings, and really just, again, trying to keep our head above water. I would submit that any of these reasons stem from a lack of understanding of where meaning and purpose comes from. And as someone who's spent most of my life chasing primarily self-focused goals, I can tell you that by themselves, they do not equate to fulfillment. And I now realize where it was coming from, that I was chasing these goals and achievements, um, and the why behind it matters. And I realized in my own life that I was pursuing these self-focused goals simply to prove my own self-worth, and really to prove my own self-worth to myself. Like, to just feel like I was enough. And since realizing that, it's led me on a journey of, wait a second, I don't want to operate from a place of constantly striving to, prove myself, or to validate that I have something to bring to the world. And on that journey, I have realized how impactful it is to reframe our thinking. And I would pose this question to you the same way I posed it to myself. How would I do life differently if I felt that I had nothing to prove? I had nothing to prove to anybody. You know, if I felt that, as I am today, I wake up this morning, I'm enough, I'm loved, I have something to contribute to the world that matters and is valuable, and I had no, voice in my head or feeling of lack of self-worth or needing to prove myself in any way. How would that reshape your life? And how, again, I asked myself this question, and I've again been on a journey of rewiring my own thinking to, I don't need to prove my self-worth. Like, I believe that I am enough. I believe that I am loved, and that I do have something to bring to the table. And then it just completely changes the motivation behind what I do, when I don't need to, again, establish my own credibility with myself. Then I do the things I do in service of helping others. It truly is almost a natural progression when you feel like you don't have anything to prove, and um, that there's nothing that you can do that is going to, make you a more valuable person. Um, you just know that you are valuable as you are, then you just do things differently. And again, I can't stress this enough. I am pro bettering yourself and developing yourself. In fact, I think that is a reflection often of when you realize that you're enough, and you realize that you've been given gifts and skills and abilities that can be used for a bigger purpose. You want to develop them. Like, you want to bring your best and be the best version of yourself, not so that you can feel better about yourself, even though that is a byproduct. Self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, that is a byproduct of investing in yourself. But the reason you're doing it is so that you can bring your best to the world, and so that you have more to contribute. And, I would say many of us are given gifts. For instance, I would say that I have been given the gift of communication, but that's not the same as developing the skill of communication. And there's a difference. And I think that we have a responsibility not only to recognize our gifts and because the things that we've been naturally given, or that are natural abilities, whatever that might be for you. But I believe we have a responsibility to develop those gifts, and again, kind of hone the skills associated with them, so that we have more to bring to the table. And, you know, when you get a hold of the idea that I'm enough, I don't have anything to prove, and I can just be myself and develop the gifts and talents that I've been given and use them in service of a greater purpose, whatever that might be for you. I promise you, not only will you be more fulfilled, and when you are able to just stop striving for approval from other people, because of your own insecurity. But I would put it this way: there's a difference when you're fighting the battles of life from a place of strength and just belief that I'm not doing this to prove anything. I'm doing this because I know who I am, and this is the fight that I feel called to fight, whatever that might be for you. So I would just say the biggest takeaway from this for me, and I hope it's meaningful to you as well, is you are enough and you are loved, and you don't have anything to prove to anybody, and you have something to contribute. So please feel I hope this helps you recognize that purpose in life comes from that peace, that inner peace of I don't have anything to prove, but I want to contribute to the world around me. And when you operate from that place, we just do things differently. And so I encourage you to, whatever needs to happen in your life, to consistently rewire the thinking of needing to prove something, or, whether that's climbing some corporate ladder. Again, not in any way disparaging you career pursuits, which I think are a wonderful endeavor, or can be. But the why behind it really, really matters. And if you see your life as something to contribute to a broader community, and you recognize that you are enough and you have something to bring to the table, and you can operate from a place of confidence instead of just trying to wash away your own insecurity by some sort of achievement, it'll change your life, and you will become a contributor instead of a consumer. If you found this helpful or insightful, please consider liking, subscribing, or sharing with somebody. Hope to see you again next week. Thank you.